Okay, let's ride. Hey, good afternoon. I mean, actually, it's still morning. Sorry about that. This is Mr. O right here on this beautiful Friday. And first thing first, I want to apologize to my subscribers because and some people I said I was going to be up early this morning, but due to the fact that um up in the, up in my home territory of Florida, up in the Panhandle, Hurricane Hermine had hit there. As I got relatives that stay up there in up in Leon County and friends and family members up in Duval County. It hit there like 1:30, so I was basically on the phone early this morning calling relatives, calling friends, and everything's all good. They're fine. Lights just out. That's all. That's it. So that's a lot. That eased me up a bit. But today, you know, is a day while everybody is talking about the Colin Kaepernick thing with the national anthem, and you already know my stance on it. That I stand with Kaepernick 10 million%. Period. As well as the as military veterans who serve stand with Kaepernick. But today isn't the day about Kaepernick. I will save that for y'all Monday. But today, Fridays, only thing I talk about is basically a stigma that's going on in America that the lamestream media, the four horsemen themselves, Fox, CNN, the New York Times, and the Washington Post, as well as MSNBC would never talk about. You know, they spend a multitude of hours, you know, telling you perverted stories and stereotypes about my people. But Fridays, I choose this because thanks to inspiration from my good friend Taurine Rain, as well as Professor Black Truth and Jason Black. You can look them up on YouTube and you'll know who they is. So this is my version Fridays. I call it, as I initiated it last Friday, WTF. White Thug Friday. And the story that I've been covering for a while, for the past 5 days, and I finally got my hands on it and doing more research into, is coming from out of Inquisitor, because we heard about the murder of the 10-year-old girl, Victoria Martin. And the only thing about it, so I went to do some research on it and stuff. We know that her mom had something to do with it, but we didn't know how deep this go. So this is coming from the Inquisitor. Um, August, this was printed August 30th. Um, the horrifying, I'm gonna read it to you, and I'm gonna come back with my commentary. The horrifying murders of 10-year-old Victoria Martens left Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the nation horrified and sickening last week. And perhaps the most shocking aspect of the unthinkable crime was the alleged role of the little girl's own mother, Michelle Martens. That's who is the subject of it in my podcast. And I don't have a picture of her in there, as you can see, but the picture you see there is Victoria Martens and the other two people I'm gonna get to in a minute. A woman who basically had no criminal history and who had given friends and relatives no clue that anything was wrong with her family, according to a report by the Associated Press. Now, Victoria Martens was described by neighbors as a happy and outgoing child. She was ready to celebrate her 10th birthday last Wednesday, which was August 24th. She's a Virgo, a few days before Michael Jackson's birthday. Um, when, according to police accounts of Fabian Gonzales, that's one of the people that you see there, I believe he's on the right, 31, and then his cousin, Jessica Kelly, that's the one on the left, also 31, drugged, raped, stabbed, and strangled her, and then dismembered and burnt the girl's body to cover up their depraved acts. The whole time, police said 35-year-old mom of two, Michelle Martens, stood by and watched the horror unfold before her eyes, doing nothing. Bitch, I would have beat your ass till eternity. And when they arrested her and questioned her in the savage rape and murder of her own daughter, detective says that Martens showed no remorse at all. But why? What happened to the woman described by neighbors as a hard-working single mom that she could participate in the torture and murder of her own daughter? The father of Martens' younger child, a boy, blames the two ex-convicts who, according to police, carried out the crime. And this is what he said, and this is something, I kind of see where it's going. She's never been amongst us. She got mixed up with the worst kind of people, and that contributed to a downward spiral from what we can tell, said Jason Edding in a statement released through his lawyer. Gonzales was reportedly Michelle Michaels' boyfriend, but one who she had been dating for only about 1 month after meeting him online. I told y'all about this online dating crap. He was supposed to be on supervised probation from a conviction last year on the charge of beating a previous girlfriend who was the mother of his own child. But the New Mexico Department of Corrections never got the memo, of course. And Gonzales was on the loose in Albuquerque, ignored by probation officers and law enforcement. His cousin, Jessica Kelly, was recently released from prison and had an earlier conviction for participating in the rape of another woman. Michelle Martens reportedly allowed Kelly to live in her home as well, but law enforcement and child protective officials in New Mexico said that they had no record of complaints regarding Michelle Martens or any possible abuse taking place in her home. Neighbors Laura Bobs, who basically lived in the same apartment complex as Michelle and Victoria Martens, and has known the mom and daughter for the past 5 years, told the AP that she nor the slain girl's grandparents ever spotted anything out of the ordinary in the family. Wait a minute. Let me stop there for a second. You known them for 5 years, and you mean to tell me you didn't see nothing out of the ordinary? Something wrong with that picture, though. Something really wrong with that. Now, let me continue. They said that Michelle was employed at a local grocery store and that she often took Victoria to a local swimming pool where the mom and daughter were frequently seen swimming. But neither the neighbor nor the grandparents were aware that the mom was dating Fabian Gonzales, despite seeing Michelle on a daily basis. Though police alleged that Gonzales first forcibly injected Victoria Martens with methamphetamine, crystal meth, to subdue her before sexually penetrating her. Bobs told the AP that neither she nor the grandparents ever detected signs that Michelle was involved with drugs or drug users. That's bullshit. I think something would have set me off right there. Gonzales, who was found by police with blood covering his apparel when cops showed up at the apartment on Wednesday, denied having anything to do with the killing of Victoria Martin, blaming his cousin Jessica Kelly instead. But yet you standing up there at the door when police arrive and you got your uniform covered in blood. Oh God. The Victoria Martens rape murder is the latest in a string of horrifying murders of children in New Mexico over the past few years. An Albuquerque woman was recently sentenced to 40 years in May for fatally killing her 9-year-old son, while an 11-year-old girl, also in the same month, was raped and left to die in a remote area by a stranger. Also, in the past year, a New Mexico woman was sentenced to 21 years for smothering her infant to death to stop the baby crying, and a man was sentenced to 63 years for the rape of his own infant daughter. But even with the parade of nauseating crimes against children in her state, New Mexico Governor Susana Martinez, a prosecutor for 25 years before entering politics, said the murder of Victoria Martens was the single worst child killing case she's ever seen. Right now, I don't even know where to start or where to finish. Excuse me 1 second. You know, because this is just fucking disgusting. But it just goes to show and prove. Because first thing first, before I go on, before I pop off, let me just go ahead and give my condolences to that little girl, Victoria Martin. I mean, a little innocent 10-year-old white girl, 10-year-old girl didn't deserve this. She didn't deserve to die by 3 psychopaths, one of which happens to include her own birth mother. But, you know, may she rest in paradise. You know, she didn't deserve that. Now, let me go in on this bitch. It just goes to show that, you know, that you can take the Neanderthal out the cave, but you're not going to take the caveman out of the Neanderthal. And a lot of things in this whole story really bug me, but it's the ever-going present thing of this is white on white crime, something that the 4 horsemen will not be able to report. You won't hear from the lamestream media, period, because they're too busy looking for the lady traveling the urban areas in the country, urban cities like Baltimore and Milwaukee and places like that, and probably parts of Florida, looking for to see what they can report or what's going on in the black neighborhoods. Want to report black on black crime, so-called black on black crime, and then report like that. But white on white crime is steadily on the rise. FBI statistics on FBI.gov, 2014 statistics simply prove that crimes committed by race, that 84% of the crimes that are committed in this country are mostly committed by white people, with the victims turning out to be white. In this case, this was just a psychopathic, sociopathic smorgasbord gang rape of an innocent 10-year-old girl. Now, what puzzles me and bothers me about the whole thing, that the neighbor, Lauren Dobbs, who says she's known them for 5 years, says she's never seen nothing out the ordinary. I mean, if I know somebody for that amount of time, I would know how their behavior patterns would be, their body language would be, their thought process would be, and more importantly, their delivery of words in a sentence of how it would be. I would know automatically that something was wrong or something was just off, you know, or what their surroundings. Now, this Fabian Gonzales, you know, and his cousin Jessica Kelly, that's the 2 people that you see in the picture in the background, along with the picture of Victoria Martens. That's the 10-year-old girl. You see a picture on the inset picture right there on the podcast, and the picture there on YouTube as well as Facebook. You know, the sick act of them drugging her with crystal meth, then raped, and you know, crystal meth is big over there, like in those states like New Mexico, Arizona, California, Oregon, Washington State, Utah, you name it. Utah, Colorado, all over there. You know, but the mother is mostly to blame, because she stood by and watched a couple of hyenas rip her offspring in pieces and did nothing but sat there and watched. I mean, it's enough to make you want to vomit. But at the same time, I'm not surprised, because this is the nature. This is the nature of white people. And see, white people don't want to admit this and stuff, but y'all really got a serious problem. You're so quick to go ahead and point fingers about when we get upset when one of our people get murdered or brutalized by race soldiers disguising themselves as law enforcement officers or DAs or judges, you're quick to go ahead and point out, well, what about black on black crime? From them and your buck dancing pet Sambos as well. But you really don't want to admit about the white on white crime. And statistics I just showed you, I just read it right there. Right, I'm reading right now on FBI.gov on the statistics right there. And it simply states that. Fabian Gonzales and the cousin Jessica Telly. Now, I know it's going to be a few trolls that's probably going to come on there saying, well, Fabian Gonzales, he not even white. His last name, he Hispanic. See, here's quite the contrary. Hispanic is not a race, it's an ethnicity. Nice try. Next question. Because both of them, especially Jessica Kelly, she was already caught in a charge for participating in the rape of another woman. But that's the nature like that with them, because see, they done get to the point they're so savage that they'll go ahead and they'll kill their own offspring, and if extreme wise, will probably go ahead and eat them just to satisfy a bloodlust. But that's always been the nature of the European and stuff like that. They'll get out there, they'll kill for sport and eat freaking raw meat after they kill it, or either have sex with it and do all type of lewd and lascivious acts. But this is one of these white on white crimes that they're not going to tell you about. This is something that the mainstream media would not tell you about, and it's sad. It's very sad. Now, I'm pretty sure that Fabian Gonzales, as well as Jessica Kelly, when they get behind the penitentiary walls and be locked in Gen Pop, that they will get justice in more ways than one. Trust me. Because no inmate, nobody doesn't take kind to child killers, much less child rapists. And as well as the same with the mom, Michelle Martens. I believe personally she did that, or she allowed it to happen basically out of jealousy. Because as I look at these pictures of that girl, I mean, yes, she was happy, she was outgoing, just basically a free spirit, not like any other normal 10-year-old girl would be. But here's the thing, even from the Inquisitor, when they say on all this and everything, they're going to go ahead and paint the picture, because, it's a white girl. I mean, it's too bad when our children can be like that, but can't go through society like that. But the father up here saying, and quote to the mother, let me repeat this, and I quote, she's never been amongst us. She got mixed up with the worst kind of people, and that contributed to a downward spiral from what we can tell. Well, yeah, he's absolutely right. But at the same time, where was he before all this downward spiral started happening? If you know something, if you knew that much that something was up before all this would have happened, he should have been in the courtrooms and all that, trying to fight for custody of his daughter. And Victoria Martens would have probably been alive today. Instead of letting a couple of jackals like Gonzales and Kelly go ahead and drug this girl, rape, stab, strangle her, and then dismember her and toss her side much like a carcass of a deer. This is just horrible. But then again, you look at statistics in New Mexico. It's a lot of things going on over there in that state. It reminds me so much of the child murders that happened in Atlanta back in the 80s. Here, back in May of this year, a woman was sentenced like 40 years in May for fatally kicking her 9-year-old son. While at the same time, An 11-year-old girl, also in May, was raped and left to die in a remote area by a stranger. It's something definitely going on of in New Mexico when it comes to child murders. And I noticed that a lot of these murders over there are mostly white, because there's barely no blacks over in New Mexico. Because I don't know what and the governor there. And also, here's another one. In the past year, back in 2015, New Mexico woman was sentenced to 21 years for smothering her baby to death to stop her from crying. And another man was sentenced to 63 years, same year, for the rape of his own infant daughter. But once again, the mainstream media is not going to tell you that. It's just unfortunately that Victoria Martens was just an unofficial sacrifice in the never ongoing genocide of white on white crime, because it's just like what I've said before, and what Professor Black Truth has said, Jason Black has said, the Vice Show has said, and several others of us, Mr. Superboy, a lot of us have said that, in order for white supremacy to be maintained, it's going to be a few sacrifices of their own in order to maintain that. And they're going to do that at all costs. But see, with white America, or should I call him quote unquote trailer park America, when are you, well, not really in that for the term, well, you're going to have to wake up and start to understand and realize that you got a serious problem in your community, So before you start pointing fingers at my backyard about how dirty it is, how about you go ahead and y'all clean up your own house? Because this here didn't even have to happen. Why, like just last week when I told y'all about with Austin Haroof, the kid out of Sequester, Florida, who was an athlete and all this other stuff and all that, how he murdered a white couple in their own garage, and he was gnawing off the husband's face. But yet, though, y'all quick to go ahead and give him the tender love and care he needs, saying that we couldn't find nothing in this system, or making up excuses and stuff. And he was no different. He's one of those white thugs who like to make YouTube videos showing himself shirtless, showing off his muscles, exemplifying, bragging and boasting, thinking that's the ultimate symbol for manhood, But really, in truth and reality, that he just people like that do that stuff just to go ahead to make up for their shortcomings. Manhood comes from within, as I always state. And see, the Gonzales dude that did this to Victoria Martens, you ain't no man. He's a punk. Same thing with his bitch cousin too. But it's the mother that I'm raising my ire at. Now, I haven't been able to find any background information on her, on Michelle Martin, not as of yet, but I will. But I guarantee you, it'll probably something that they're covering up, they're not telling us about, because unfortunately, a 10-year-old white girl, had to end up being sacrificed for this shit. In the never ongoing battle of white supremacy and the war that they have against us. But it does hit me to my core that this little girl didn't deserve to die, who has barely yet to even experience in her life. But anyway, it's just going to keep this one short, because a lot of the things, the story I said, is basically self-explanatory. But to all the so-called the trolls that probably come from Stormfront, and to all these suspected bigots that y'all so quick to point out black on black crime. Well, this is the reason why I do White Thug Friday, to go ahead and explain that y'all crime against each other, is steadily on the rise. That 84% of crimes committed, murder being the main one, committed by white people, guess the victims happen to be white. As was told about what happened in Ohio with another thug, I forgot the dude's name, who ended up going ahead and shooting a black woman, killing her after a car accident with a semi-automatic rifle. But I'll explain mostly about that come Monday. But before I sign off, once again, like I said, I like to apologize for coming on late, a little bit late on there, like I said I wanted to, and I didn't, because due to the fact, I had to take care of TCOB. But before I sign off, I want y'all to go ahead and ponder that for a while, white people. To ponder this. And then when you come up with your excuse or whatever like that, let me know. Because I would definitely love to hear it. This your main man, this your boy, this your humble servant, Mr. O. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sign off now. But I will check y'all back tomorrow. Tomorrow. It's going to be something special for that day. Peace out.